prime minister has inspired millions of people around the world. The Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, saying that the difference Jacinda Ardern made is immeasurable. The Australian Prime Minister saying she's shown everyone how to lead with intellect and strength. This is all after the PM said she decided she no longer had enough in the tank to keep doing her job.
I'm human. Politicians are human. We give all that we can for as long as we can, and then it's time.
She made history, taking office as the world's youngest female leader, dealing with challenges from that deadly Christchurch shooting to the pandemic. Megan Fitzgerald is joining us now with more on this. And I think it is completely fair to say that what Jacinda Ardern is doing is human. It is brave. She is saying burnout is real, and that there are other things in life besides what you do for a living, whether you are like a worker bee in Washington, D.C., or you are the Prime Minister of New Zealand. She said she just doesn't have more to give. It's a fascinating look at what's going on inside the mind of a person who has led New Zealand through some really challenging moments. She has made headlines globally for pushing back on misogyny, for example. And this is another way that it feels like she's sort of forging some new ground. Absolutely, Holly. I mean, and that's part of what makes it so shocking is that it's not every day that you see a prime minister or head of government stepping down, but the level of candor that we heard from her. I mean, basically just saying that, look, I know what it takes to do this job, and I also know that I'm no longer in a position to be able to do this job justice, saying that, she's burned out, as you mentioned, and that she knew at the time that she was the one to lead, and now, fast forward 5.5 years later, she knows that she's no longer the one to lead, and she's telling the people this. So often, we hear other reasons why people are stepping down. It certainly appears as though this is the truth. She's burned out, and she's stepping aside, Hallie. What happens in New Zealand now, right? Like, in other words, the fact of a prime minister stepping down, it is rare, as you say. It also happens, and there's like a process and things unfold, right? A prime minister stepping down for this reason is extraordinarily rare, right? And being so honest about it and being so sort of real about it. I wonder, like, what happens here in New Zealand? How is it playing there? What happens politically? Yeah, so the next step's Sunday. That's the first step in this process. That's when we know the Labour Party, her party, will be voting on who they want to lead next. There's going to be a vote. Whomever that person has to win more than 2/3 of the vote to be able to move on. And there's a lot of names that are being tossed around, a lot of ministers. There's Chris Hickson. He's the minister of COVID-19. As you mentioned, the prime minister was praised for the way in which she handled the pandemic in the early days. And so this is a minister who also shares in that responsibility. He's well known. There's the Minister of Justice who could be chosen. There's the first foreign female minister who could be chosen as well. But yeah, I want to go back to the fact that she also said a lot of things. I mean, as you mentioned, she was praised for the way in which she handled that shooting in her country where 51 people were killed. But she says that part of the legacy she wants to leave behind is one of kindness. This idea that you can be a politician, you can be kind, you can still be strong, you can be empathetic, and you can still be decisive. So whatever you think of her, because obviously her popularity is going down, whatever you think, what a way to go out, right? That is for sure. Megan Fitzgerald, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Let's get you over to the 5 things our team thinks you should know about tonight. Number 1, the U.S. getting ready to announce another big military aid package, basically. More help, that means, for Ukraine. TBD on the final price tag, but it's probably going to be well over $1 billion and include more weapons and armored combat vehicles. Number 2, look what's going down in France, where French police are firing tear gas on some protesters in Paris today. More than 1 million people were out in cities across the country demonstrating against plans to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64. These big strikes have disrupted stuff like schools, other public services. At least 30 people have been arrested. French President Emmanuel Macron says he's still going to go ahead with these planned pension increases. Number 3, the Colombian Army rescuing somebody who'd been lost in the Caribbean Sea for weeks. Take a look. See that barely little speck circled on your screen right there? That's a sailboat that this guy was in for 24 days. The Army says it spotted the word help on the hull of the boat. The man said he was repairing the boat when he was swept out to sea by a storm. He survived by eating a bottle of ketchup and a couple of canisters of spices on board. Absolutely incredible. Number 4, Florida Republican Congressman Greg Steube is in the hospital after falling something like 25 feet off a ladder. His office says he was cutting trees at a Sarasota property when it happened. The congressman has serious injuries, but nothing life-threatening, according to tweets from his official account. Number 5, Amazon. Have you heard about this? Amazon shutting down Amazon Smile, its charity donation program. That's coming after some cost-cutting pushes by the company. If you know Amazon Smile, you know that it was when Amazon would donate like 1% of purchases to whatever charity you picked. Over the years, it's been something like $500 million. Officials say today after Julian Sands has been missing now for 5 days, ever since he went on a hike in Southern California last week. You might know him. You might know his face from movies like A Room with a View or Leaving Las Vegas or Warlock. The last known location, Mount Baldy in San Bernardino County. That's right here. Sands was reported missing around 7:30 back Friday evening. That's when crews started looking for him on the ground. They had to stop the next day, Saturday, because of those storms in California we've been telling you about. Trail conditions got super slick. There were avalanche concerns. Crews haven't been able to pick up the search again since then. Dana Griffin has more on that.
Hallie, we are here in the San Gabriel Mountains where there is a desperate search for actor Julian Sands, last seen nearly a week ago. Investigators have found his car nearby. They also used cell phone tracking technology to figure out where his cell phone last pinged. That's why they're concerned that he tried to hike near the Mount Baldy area. Investigators say this is a very dangerous area for hikers right now. That's why they're asking even the most experienced to stay away. Investigators have said that Julian Sands is a very experienced hiker, but the concern is tonight more snow is expected, and investigators say right now they cannot search the ground because it is just too dangerous. They are searching from above, but they say once conditions improve, they will resume that ground search. Hallie?
All right, thanks to Dana Griffin for that report. Still to come here on the show. You know, these days it's pretty easy to make AI-generated art, but that's raising a bunch of questions about plagiarism and who gets paid. We're taking a look at the controversy right after the break.
How did it do it? It's a good to see. He's got walking on the bench. I would have wanted him. Well, thing is, Myra's are not folding on the bench, and the Carl Lewis has got. I would have wanted him to be against the United. And he's a guy that understands the meaning of the down. They give him more than 100%. And there's no otherwise. You know what they need for that? Yeah.
For Dateline Premium, subscribe now on Apple Podcasts. Watch NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
I think when you open your eyes, you get to decide, how's my day going to be? We want to be a way to start your day. Lighten your load. Every single morning.
NBC News, streaming free now.
So, you know, there's been a lot of controversy lately around AI, artificial intelligence, online, in schools, and now in the art world. Look at some of the stuff you see on your screen. That's all art generated by an AI app. It's called Midjourney. All you have to do is type in the word imagine, followed by any word, and the software creates some kind of an image or a picture or a piece of art based on what you've plugged in. So artists are saying, well, wait a second. The app makes these images by compiling, sweeping in all sorts of other images, like meaning actual human artists' art, and they're not getting paid for it. Midjourney is now facing a class action lawsuit, saying that it's used billions of images without getting artists permission or for paying them. Jake Ward joins us now. And Jake, you've actually bought this kind of art without actually knowing it was created by AI. Like, explain how this is getting so popular.
Well, I mean, it's so popular because it is so extraordinarily easy. I mean, the reason that people are so, astounded by it, and I will say, there's literally nowhere I go right now where I don't either show this thing off to people or they're not showing it off to me. I mean, everybody is really fascinated by this because it does such an uncanny job. You type in a prompt and it creates things, like a, snowy mountain with a cabin in the foreground, leopard splashing through water. Bang, it comes out at you in 60 seconds or less. I bought that particular piece that you just saw a second ago, this Denzel Washington kind of portrait. I didn't even realize that that's what it was. I wrote a book about how AI is beginning to simulate human creativity.
How many pills you want me?
So it's just endlessly fascinating to everybody, and the convenience of it is, of course, the big part of it.
There is a devil's advocate argument to this because some experts are like, maybe we're overestimating how sophisticated these AI programs are. One professor writes, I'd like to believe that just certain customer who appreciates art will notice the difference and gravitate toward the work of creators. Based on your reporting, is that possible, or how much of a threat is this AI art?
The thing that so many, experts are saying, if you really think about the nature of art, then people who actually understand art will understand that this is not art. But that doesn't really matter. It is all in the eye of the beholder. When I went actually up to Seattle to speak to the creator of that piece that I bought without realizing what it was, I said to him, should you have revealed or told me that you made this thing? And he said, well, yeah, maybe, but also, didn't you like it? Right? So beauty may very well be in the eye of the beholder. I should also mention here, Hallie, that the lawsuit you mentioned that Getty is filing not against Midjourney, it's against another company that's just like it. But again, this is the new world, because if this software samples this body of work, does it owe some infinitesimal amount of money to each one of the artists that it sampled? We don't know, and I think that's going to get worked out in court. But for the moment, it definitely has the art world and really all of us by the throat, Hallie.
So interesting. Jake Ward, thank you very much. We're looking forward to seeing more of Jake's reporting tonight on Nightly News with Lester Holt, 6:30 Eastern, wherever you watch, not stream, your local NBC News station. Coming up here on this stream, travel could look a little bit different by the end of the decade, and travel may be greener, too, because of what you're seeing on screen. We're getting into how it'll work. Plus, take a look at this, what you're about to see. Can you tell what this is? People are trying to break a world record with it. We're going to explain in the local.
Oh, God. That's the job done.